Hi there, this is Dana with NAP. I want to show you how to identify and pool narrowleaf bittercress, cardamom impatiens. It is one of the three main invasives we focus on in early spring in the natural areas here in Ann Arbor. Like garlic mustard and Dame's Rocket, it is in the Brassica family, so it is a mustard and shares similarities. Here is a narrowleaf bittercress plant. You'll see it's very feathery and light in appearance. So let's take a look here at some of this bittercress and dig in deep and get to know it a little better. So here is the bittercress plant. You can see, just like Dame's Rocket and garlic mustard, that these leaves are arranged alternately up the stem. So not straight across from each other, but alternate as you go up the stem. They also get smaller as you go up. And then towards the top is where it will eventually bloom. It has the smallest flower of any of the spring invasives. Now these are hairless. Both the leaves are hairless and the stem is hairless. Each of these, what I have my hand on here, this is one leaf. So this is considered a compound leaf with many little leaflets. And bittercress can have up to 13 pairs of leaflets. There are fewer on the first year rosettes. So that's another thing that it has in common with these other ones. You can see this browning color at the bottom. Sometimes these rosettes don't survive from the winter, but this bottom part starts to kind of die back as it's getting ready to bloom. Typically just one stem on these. They're much smaller, much more tedious to pull because you're not getting a big amount of biomass with each time you tug it. Let's look at the leaf shape. So bittercress has quite a variety in leaf shape. You can see these leaves low on the stem almost look like maybe a dinosaur foot or something, or a big animal print you would imagine seeing in a cartoon. Just around the base, they can have more teeth and lobes. And as you move up the plant, even more teeth and lobes, but the leaves tend to get much narrower. So, but overall, it has the appearance of being quite feathery and delicate. Now, these will flower. The flowers cluster at the top will be whitish to greenish. It'll only be a ½ inch across, the whole cluster of flowers. So they're quite tiny, harder to notice. And then it will also have the skinny, narrow seed pods called calyx. That is the distinguishing feature of all three of these: garlic mustard, Dame's Rocket, and narrowleaf bittercress. So these calyx will contain many seeds. Once you see the calyx start to get tan and papery, you can definitely see the seeds inside of those. You don't want to pull it anymore because you're very likely to make those seeds disperse and cause even more dispersal of the plant. So we tend to just pull it when the calyx are still quite green and firm. One other thing I wanted to point out about bittercress, that you can distinguish it from other bittercresses from these little, where the leaf attaches to the stem, you can see it kind of grasps around the stem. And if I pull this leaf off right here, you see that still left kind of clasping around the stem. And that is unique to this invasive bittercress, whereas any native bittercresses, you wouldn't have that part remaining. It's called an auricle, A-U-R-I-C-L-E. So that's a unique thing. So here's a little patch of bittercress in this nature area. Also some very young buckthorn and honeysuckle. So the bittercress only gets about 1 to 2 feet tall, so much harder to notice. Just like garlic mustard, you want to make sure that you get all the roots, so grab it firmly. I'm demonstrating without gloves, just so you can see. If you grab it real firmly down here and pull with firm, even pressure, hopefully you'll get most all the roots out. This is it. It sometimes reminds me of common yarrow, just because it's got very narrow, almost lacy looking leaflets on these compound leaves. It is a biennial, just like garlic mustard. If you want to pull it, you grab it way down low and firmly and gently pull and try and get all of those roots out. Like garlic mustard, it tends to have this purplish color at the basal stems of the plant. It's really important to pull and get all those roots out. It's important to pull these because each plant can produce up to 5,500 seeds. So it's important we pull it now early in the spring before it sets seed. I'm just going to show you a little more here along the trail so you get an idea of what it looks like when you're out in a nature area. Here's some more bitter cress. Much more tedious to pull, like I mentioned, but nevertheless, good to get it out of our nature areas. So happy pulling.